And we're going to finish the ninth chapter of the second book of A Tale of Two Cities. The name of the chapter is The Gorgon's Head. The name of the book is The Golden Thread. Monsieur the Marquis has gone to bed. Darnay is still staying with him. And we're hearing a description of how it is all around as night falls. And we'll pick up at the beginning of the chapter where we cut off. The fountain in the village flowed unseen and unheard, and the fountain at the chateau dropped unseen and unheard, both melting away like the minutes that were falling from the spring of time through 3 dark hours. Then the grey water of both began to be ghostly in the light, and the eyes of the stone faces of the chateau were opened. It grew lighter and lighter until at last the sun touched the tops of the still trees and poured its radiance over the hill. In the glow, the water of the chateau fountain seemed to turn to blood, and the stone faces crimsoned. The carol of the birds was loud and high, and on the weather-beaten sill of the great window of the bedchamber of Monsieur the Marquis, one little bird sang its sweetest song with all its might. At this, the nearest stone face seemed to stare amazed, with open mouth and dropped under jaw, looked awe-stricken. Now the sun was full up, and movement began in the village. Casement windows opened, crazy doors were unbarred, and people came forth, shivering, chilled as yet by the new sweet air. Then began the rarely lightened toil of the day among the village population. Some to the fountain, some to the fields, men and women here to dig and delve, men and women there to see to the poor livestock, and lead the bony cows out to such pasture as could be found by the roadside. In the church and at the cross a kneeling figure or two, attendant on the latter prayers, the led cow trying for a breakfast among the weeds at the cross-feet. The chateau awoke later, as became its quality, but awoke gradually and surely. First the lonely boar spears, and knives of the chase had been reddened, as of old, then had gleamed, trenchant in the morning sunshine. Now doors and windows were thrown open, horses in the stables looked round over their shoulders at the light and freshness pouring in at doorways. Leaves sparkled and rustled at iron-gated windows. Dogs pulled hard at their chains and reared impatient to be loosed. All these trivial incidents belonged to the routine of life and the return of morning. Surely not so the ringing of the great bell of the chateau, nor the running up and down stairs, nor the hurried figures on the terrace, nor the booting and tramping here and there and everywhere, nor the quick saddling of horses and riding away. What winds conveyed this hurry to the grizzled mender of roads, already at work on the hilltop beyond the village, with his day's dinner, not much to carry, lying in a bundle that was worth no crow's while to peck at, on a heap of stones? Had the birds, carrying some grains of it to a distance, dropped one over him, as they sow chance seeds? Whether or no, the mender of roads ran, on the sultry morning, as if for his life, down the hill, knee-high in dust, and never stopped till he got to the fountain. All the people in the village were at the fountain, standing about in their depressed manner, and whispering softly, but showing no other emotions than grim curiosity and surprise. The led cows, hastily brought in and tethered to anything that would hold them, were looking stupidly on, or were lying down, chewing the cud of nothing particularly, repaying their trouble, which they had picked up in their interrupted saunter. Some of the people of the chateau, and some of those of the posting-house, and all the taxing authorities were armed more or less, and were crowded on the other side of the little street in a purposeless way that was highly fraught with nothing. Already the mender of roads had penetrated into the midst of a group of 50 particular friends, and was smiling himself in the breast with his blue cap. What did all this portend? And what portended the swift hoisting up of Monsieur Gabelle behind, a servant on horseback, and the conveying away of the said Gabelle? double laden though the horse was, at a gallop, like a new version of the German ballad of Lenora. It portended that there was one stone face too many up at the chateau. The Gorgon had surveyed the building again in the night, and had added the one stone face wanting, the stone face for which it had waited through about 200 years. It lay back on the pillow of Monsieur the Marquis. It was like a fine mask, suddenly startled, made angry and petrified, driven home into the heart of the stone figure. Attached to it was a knife. Round its hilt was a frill of paper on which was scrawled, "Drive him fast to his tomb. This is from Jacques." And that is the end of chapter 9.